Cause I promise I will beat your fucking ass in this goddamn store, bro. I promise you that shit, bro. You keep on fucking me, I will come in and tear your ass up in the goddamn store. And I put that on fucking everything I love, nigga. I will fucking beat your ass in the goddamn store.
Yeah, great. Now you ain't got shit to say.
Now you got a fucking smile on your face now. Why the fuck you got a smile on your face, nigga? I promise you, I will fucking fuck you up, nigga.
Don't try it.
Don't try to do this.
I'm not married for the
What you want to do, nigga? What you want to do?
No, I'm not going to
Now, I will kill you, nigga. I will fucking kill you, bro.
All right, so I'm not really too sure what happened in this clip. The only thing that I could gather from this, and in conjunction with what I saw in the comments, was the woman in the blue with the blue shirt or whatever, she got into an argument with the guy who was behind the counter. And I don't know what was said, but they went back and forth and he said something slick, and then she went and got her boyfriend and he came in and started crashing out. Now, here's the deal. This man is looking like he just wants to crash out. He's the typical simp enforcer. He's cussing this guy out and threatening him. And at one point he goes behind the counter to get in this guy's face. So this guy is willing to go to jail. He's willing to catch a case. He's willing to crash all the way out, potentially even take a life. Now, luckily, this woman who is upset at this guy for talking crazy, behind the counter, like I said, she said, for some reason, she said, yeah, you ain't got nothing to say now. So, like, whatever was said, it was enough for her to get this situation going the way it's going. This woman has the foresight to drag this man out. You see her, pushing him back and dragging him out because she knows he's going to crash out. She knows what kind of person she has on a leash. This woman is dating this guy because of this, right? Any man who's going to crash out at a McDonald's, that's a low value man. And women like this, they date these simp enforcers. They date these crash out dudes for just this occasion. She wanted this guy. She's treating him like a dog. She wants her dog to bark at this guy and make him shut up, right? She wants to be able to say whatever she wants to say to anyone she wants to say it to, and she doesn't want people to be able to argue back. So she says something slick to the guy behind the counter. The guy behind the counter potentially stands up for himself, and then she doesn't like that, so she goes and gets her guard dog, and he does all of this. If I warned you once, I've warned you twice. Do not crash out because of a woman's feelings. Don't crash out because some woman said, this person said something to me. If ain't nobody put hands on that woman, just leave. One day, this woman is going to let the dog off the chain and he's going to throw his whole life away because of what? Because some straggle sent him on a crash out mission. That's going to be his fate. But for you guys, make sure that's not your fate. Make sure that's not your son's fate. Make sure every man you know, whether it's you, your son, your brother, your dad, your uncle, whoever, any man you care about, make sure that man is smart enough to know not to crash out just because some woman got her feelings hurt.
Boys are afraid of commitment because they have nothing to offer. Boys are afraid of commitment because they have nothing to offer. You're welcome.
Okay, so we have this racially ambiguous woman talking about boys are afraid of commitment because they don't have anything to offer. Okay, here's my problem with women who complain about men and say stuff like this. First and foremost, what is any man committing to when he gets with you? What does he get? Does he get a virgin? Does he get a woman who's easy to deal with? Does he get an obedient woman? Does he get a woman with a bunch of baggage? Does he get a woman who has his best interests at heart? Does he get a woman who wants to be a wife, who wants to be a mother, who wants to, serve her family? Does he get a woman with any kind of religious background or any kind of real morality? What am I committing to? Do I commit to a woman who has bad spending habits and doesn't make half as much as she spends? Like, what am I committing to as a man? Number one. Number two, as a woman, you unilaterally have access to say yes or no to the man you're getting with. So you as a woman are the one who is getting with these men, giving them access to your body, letting them take up your time, and then they don't commit to you. You chose that for yourself. So ask yourself, why aren't these men that you choosing to commit to you? Like women get up here and they do all this so-called owning of men and exposing of men, not realizing in every single instance, every man they've ever dealt with and has done them wrong is a man that they chose. So why do you keep choosing these men? Or what is it about you that when you choose these men, it drives them off? Have you ever thought about that?
Needed to park?
You needed to park, so you slashed my tires.
It's,
We're allowed to park where the we want to, bitch.
Just talk right.
Dumbass. You slashed my tires because you wanted a parking spot. Look at this lady right here.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
She slashed my tires, bro. This old slashed my tires.
No, okay.
Sorry.
Hey,
That's crazy, bro.
So you
Okay, so we got this geriatric psychopath who's out here slashing people's tires. And, you know, I call her this because this woman she's cool, she's calm, she's collected. She doesn't seem to have any remorse. She doesn't seem to care about what she's done. For whatever reason, she decided to slash these people's tires. I guess they parked someplace where she didn't want them to park. And, you know, a lot of times old people will have their favorite parking spot and it won't even be an assigned parking spot. Or maybe you frequent a particular place with these old people and they think that a particular seat belongs to them and you can't sit in that seat. Old people are just like that. So, you know, for whatever reason, this woman thought that she was entitled to this parking spot and she goes out and her parking spot isn't available. She sees these people's car and she slashes the tires and then she takes pictures. And these people are confronting her. Now, thankfully, these people are actually showing a lot of restraint and not beating this woman into tomato paste like I would. But I just want to, you know, ask you guys, how much damage do you think this woman has done in her life just like this? Because I know for a fact that old people, they think that they get to cross lines when they are aggrieved. When somebody does something to offend an old person, you see this kind of stuff all the time on the news where an old person crashes out, they vandalize somebody's property or they do something stupid and they think that people can't beat them into tomato paste because they're old. And then when somebody beats them down, we all start saying, oh, well, black people are violent or Mexicans are violent or, you know, the youth don't respect the elders anymore. And it's like, no, this person is entitled and they crossed the line and they paid a price. And it's like people like this, I promise you, this is not this person's first time. You don't just decide, I'm going to slash this person's tire. You've been doing stuff like that your whole life. You've been breaking people's windows and doing little dumb stuff here and there because somebody make you mad and you think that there's no consequence for you. And then you make it to your old age and then something like this happened and somebody finally gets you, you know, cornered. And there's some guy, I don't know who that guy is in relationship to any of these people, but he's kind of maintaining the peace. So this old lady, she just puts everybody in a bad spot. And I mean, there's not really much to say about it, but you know, shout out to those girls for not beating this woman down and catching a case. But this woman just really strikes me as a Looney Tune who needs to be taught a lesson.
I was born a woman because being a man would be too easy for me. And I really mean that, because if being human was a video game, being a man is beginner level. Because what is the challenge? Really, what's the challenge? You gotta go to the bar and pick up girls. All the men are buying girls drinks. How do you stand out? How do you win? Buy her bar food. Oh, shocker. Like, I don't know how nobody figured that out. That's why I would win and you would lose. That's why I would be too good at being a man, because you're all getting her drunk. I'm waiting to feed her. Like,
okay, so we got this lady out here doing a little bit of comedy. When I came across this video, I had to actually check out her page because I was like, there's no way that this can be real. There's no way that she could be saying this seriously. And true to form, her page is, you know, it's satire, it's comedy. She does spicy work. So, you know, there's that. So she's one of these funny women who takes her clothes off for a living. Okay, here's the deal. In keeping with the understanding that she's doing this for laughs, I'm not going to go too hard in the paint, but what she says is not far off the mark from what a lot of women say when they hop online. And the funny thing is, a lot of women will say, oh, you know, it's not hard to be a man. And they, you know, they say stuff about the world being set up for men and all this and all that and patriarchy, blah, blah, blah. But it's funny that this woman and keep in mind, once again, I know it's satire. This woman and other women like her will say this kind of stuff while having their cleavage on full display. A man can't get out there and just take his shirt off and get views and get followers. And it's funny because every now and again, I'll open up Twitch to see who's streaming. There's a couple people that I like to follow here and there, like the RDC guys, Kai Cenat, every now and again I'll watch Phantom. And as soon as you open up Twitch, there's like a random person that's streaming, and then you click on the person that you're following. And it's always like some girl in a low cut top, right? It's always a girl. Like the girls have taken over the gaming space. And so it's just weird that every space that men cultivated and, they had to pour a lot of time and effort into, even the online space, YouTube, right? Instagram, TikTok, any online space where men dominated it, they cultivated the field and they made it popular to make money. It's just funny how easily women can go into that space and they can just take their clothes off and they can garner a following, they can get attention, they can get the sponsorships, they can get the money. And then they turn around and say, well, if I were a man, life would be so much easier. Not realizing that the cheat code is literally you being a woman who can monetize her body. And I don't think women really understand that men can't just wake up and take their clothes off and make money like that. I don't think they understand that being a woman is the real cheat code. That is the easy mode. This is literally why we say women live life on recruit difficulty, which oddly enough, by this woman saying the cheat code is being a man, by saying that men have life easy, all she's doing is taking a male talking point and turning it around while her breasts are on full display. So like I said, I'm not hating on this chick, but it's just funny that they don't recognize how the game is set up for them to win by just taking their clothes off.
Every time I see red pill niggas, you could literally just see like you was not cool in school. Like I never seen not one of them that's like you was one of them niggas and like you was like that your whole life. Like you could always tell that you was probably lame. You went to college, got your money up, and now you want to talk to girls all types of way because you might have got curved by Cassandra way back when. Like, bro, tighten up, bro.
Okay, so we have another blue pill dweeb talking down on the red pill. Now, first and foremost, I'm not a red pill guy, if anybody was ever wondering. I just know red pill talking points. I'm 40 years old and I understand life as a whole. So the red pill is really for people who just don't understand life. Once you understand life, you just move on. So I'm what you would say, I'm part of the after pill. I've accepted the world as it is and I've moved on. Now, that being said, like I said, we got this blue pill dweeb and he's talking against the red pill. And it's just weird to hear these things coming from this guy because he's not wrong. A lot of the red pill guys are dweebs. They're losers who got curved in high school and life didn't work out. That's how everybody finds the red pills, because at one point in time you were the good guy and something sent you on the red pill, right? Nobody advertises the red pill. People find it on their own because of bad life experiences. That's number one. Number two, this guy himself, he's a dweeb. Look at his haircut. Look at his glasses. You think women are out there choosing this guy? Absolutely not. And it's just funny that a lot of the people who are against the red pill, they will be the biggest losers that you have ever seen. And they'll come out there and they'll talk against it because they think it's going to get them an audience. And there's a good audience to be had, being aggressively blue pill or, just anti-red pill. And it's a fast way to monetization, I'll tell you that much. And, women will agree with you and stuff like that. And you can do your whole Derek Jackson thing and you can, get the woman crowd behind you. But the problem is, A, those women are never going to like you, number one. And number two, you don't even have the money or the social status or the social clout that the actual red pill people have. There's a lot of people in the red pill who end up getting a lot of social clout. They get a lot of money. They level up. They get the money. They get the muscles. They get the following. So at that point, yeah, you might have faked it till you made it, but at least they make it. But all the blue pill people, they just always stay losers. And when you see these people, even the big name blue pill creators, you don't see women throwing themselves at these people. When I'm out in LA or if I'm traveling and I go someplace and I see actual red pill creators, women are throwing themselves at those guys. Because women like disagreeable men. They like those disagreeable men. They like the jerks. They like the bad boys, all of that. None of the blue pill people are liked by the women, which is the oddest part. So I just always find it odd when these guys go out here simping because they're losing in life too. And they're losing because they are literally against the thing that they think women hate. It's just funny.
My mom is why I don't have sympathy for a lot of stupid that women do. And this is a follow-up to the video I just made about the lady at work giving away her Valentine's Day flowers that was given to her from somebody she's dating. I see a lot of women trying to make excuses to myself. She was just spreading the love and she just stop. I'm a boy mom at the end of the day. Don't come over here if you don't want to be held accountable. Don't. I'm the first example of what a woman should be. That's what my son see. That's what my son see. I hold myself accountable and I self-reflect like a all the time. I try to be everything I want my son to have in a woman and in a wife and in a mother. I remember it was a time when I was honest and I said I would never want my son to bring home a woman like me. Ever. Because that's how I was. You couldn't tell me I was never wrong. I didn't know how to compromise, didn't know how to communicate, and damn sure didn't know how to comprehend. Just filled with trauma. Up. And I think it's whack as hell that when women are behaving in a certain way, it's always, yeah, but, or trying to prank them into being a victim. If you wrong, you wrong. That's how my page is. That's how I roll. I'ma always just call it how I see it. And they know that about their mama. Mama gonna always keep it real. You understand what I'm saying? I thank God that I got the ability to also be able to look at everything from everybody's point of view and then come to my own conclusion. If it don't make sense, it don't make sense. That's just what it is across the board. Shit didn't make sense. I'm sorry. And being a boy mom, I always think about how would I feel if my son was treated in that way. I'm raising good young black men, God's will. How would I feel if a skank did something like that to my son? I would definitely tell my son, don't ever waste your time with that boy. Don't ever.
You know, oftentimes, almost exclusively, my channel is meant to critique people and say negative things about their stupid behavior and whatnot. But every so often, something comes across the timeline, and I just have to, give credit where credit is due. Shout out to this lady for understanding what's what and who's who in life. She's obviously a single mom. She's raising a boy, and she's taking accountability of who she is and what she used to be. And she's saying to herself, I don't want my son to encounter a woman like what I used to be. And she's actively on the prowl for predatory women, toxic women, women that are going to destroy her son emotionally and potentially use him. And that's an amazing thing to see. It's a very great thing to see. Most moms are too caught up in female own group preference, where they care more about women as a whole than they care about the own men in their family, especially their sons. And this woman doesn't seem to be on that tip. And that's amazing to see. So shout out to this lady. Obviously, people make mistakes. She somehow, we know how, she ended up a single mom. And I'm not saying she's going to be able to necessarily raise this boy into a man and he's going to be the most successful person in life. But at least she's, aware that women are a humongous problem. And she's aware that she doesn't want her son to end up with a toxic and destructive woman. So if she's dropping those gems on her son and at least allowing him, the foresight and knowledge to be able to avoid that early on in life, that kid is going to have a huge leg up, because there's men who come from two-parent household where the mom is a feminist and the dad is a simp, and that kid ends up getting wrecked by women. So even though he's being raised by a single mom, it looks like his mom is at least looking out for him at that basic level. And that's a huge step. So shout out to this lady. Let's give credit where credit is due. She's one of the good ones.
The way a man pursues you is a demonstration of his entire work ethic. That is just one bomb dropped in this clip from Christian Walker. Watch this.
When a man won't put the work in to pursue you, he's telling you he's not a man, he's a princess. A man's job is to work. For centuries, a man went to a woman's family and begged for her hand in marriage. He brought gifts, he tried to show he had more resources than the other men he was competing with, and he had to prove with documentation that he could provide before he even got access to a woman. But now, men take selfies and post them on Instagram and say they're the prize. When he's telling you he doesn't chase, he's telling you he's not ambitious. He doesn't see things he wants and commit to getting it. No, he wants to sit back, relax, kick his feet up, and send you out to do the dirty work. The way a man pursues you is a demonstration of his work ethic, and it will affect your entire future with him. Is he willing to step up? Is he willing to put the work in to build something for you and your family? Or is he going to be in his princess energy? Men think they're doing something when they say they don't chase and other men clap for them, but all it really shows is maybe they prefer attention from other men.
If every single high school and college made this video required viewing for girls, we would have a different country.
All right, so we have this woman. I don't know exactly who she is. I don't know exactly what she does, but she's essentially reacting to this other guy, this gay guy, as he, drops what he would call, or what she would call, some bombs on the ladies in terms of, giving them some insider game as to how men are supposed to act. Okay, the men have the red pill and women have this. Here's the problem. This guy is going to start talking, and he actually uses a red pill talking point. And he says for centuries, men had to prove their worth and they had to prove their intent. And they had to go and beg for a woman's hand in marriage. They had to go to the father. They had to go to the family. They had to beg. And then they had to, show up with gifts, and they had to have, documentation that they were, the best man for this woman, and all of this and all of that. And essentially what he's talking about is the courting system. But here's the problem. The courting system began in 1850, and it died in around 1914 with the start of World War I. After World War I ended in 1918, that's when the mafia takes over. You got prohibition. There is no courting system after that. So you're talking about a system that was about 64, 65 years old at its death, right? The courting system is heavily romanticized, but it didn't last that long, and it didn't have that much of an impact on American society. We just romanticize it. Now, here's the reason that I bring all of that up. When we talk about the courting system, what we're essentially talking about is a class system. This guy is talking about a class system with everything else he's talking about. Throughout human history, we have always had classes. You had the aristocrat class, you had the peasant class, you had this class, you had that class. You had the super rich and everybody under that. You had your shoemakers, and you had, your woodworkers, and you had your blacksmiths and everything like that. And then you had your farmers and blah, blah, blah. The point of the matter is, we have always relied on social proof to say who a man is, what his value is to a woman, if he'll be a good provider, so on and so forth. This is why we did not want women choosing their own mates, because it was easy to choose for them based on what that man did. We could look at all the men at one time and say, okay, these are the men who work. These are the men who, get a lot of money because of where they work. These are the men who come from nobility. These are the men who have, this and that. They're born into this family or that family, and you marry your daughter off accordingly. It was very, very easy. Then as soon as we let women choose on their own, what did they do? They want to mix the classes. They want to be from a middle class family, let's just say, and they want to go date the peasant boy and have his kid because he's tall and he's handsome. Or they want to go date the bandit because he's dangerous and all of this. This is why we never wanted women to be able to choose for themselves, because every man in a woman's family wants what's absolutely best for her. But women always want the worst possible thing. And I know that this is kind of off the subject from what the guy was talking about, but I just think it's interesting how people get the courting system wrong so wildly. Even the red pill, they don't know anything about the courting system and how it actually worked, but they do understand the class system. But women don't understand the class system, because the class system actually was harmful to women too, because you couldn't escape your current class. A peasant girl was not going to marry the prince. So that's why they don't like the class system. But there's just a little bit of educational knowledge for people who don't actually understand the talking points that they're regurgitating.